I'm Yunzhe from HackCville's, and today we're here with Sanjeev Agrawal, co-founder and CEO of Collegefeed and former head of product marketing for Google. So first, I wanted to ask you about Collegefeed. What was your inspiration, your goals from the company, and do you envision your kids, using this platform in the future?
That's a great question, because part of the motivation for Collegefeed was my kids and my co-founders' kids. And as we've grown the company, it continues to grow because of what we see college students go through in general. So our own experiences, when we look back at them, what we want to make sure is that we build something that we can leave behind for not just ourselves, but the next generation of people we're building it for. So the inspiration at the beginning, as with most startups, is around a personal pain point or a big problem that you think you can materially solve in ways that other people may not be able to. And so in our case, it was looking at college students and the process they go through, the fact that tuition keeps rising and debt keeps rising, and then you see all these numbers around underemployment or unemployment amongst college-age kids. And so as we dug into the problem and said, okay, what can we do here? There's many things you can do. You can help students pay their tuition loans off, or with their tuition, you can help them pay their college loans off, or you can teach them how to fish, i.e. help them connect with companies and get jobs. So I'll spare you all the details of how we ended up with this specific product that we currently have, but what we felt, and we still feel we can do really well, is create a system whereby our connections and Collegefeed's connections can be, in some sense, lent to students that don't have a strong personal or professional network yet. So yes, the motivation came from looking at the next generation and saying, okay, hopefully their experiences will be less painful than ours.
Great. So you studied EECS in MIT, which is Electrical Engineering and Computer Science.
Right.
How did that translate to a management consulting, position at Cisco and McKinsey, and then to head of product marketing and to CEO of several companies?
Yeah. So this is exactly a case in point where, if you think about my own career, or as I look at my co-founders, I look at other people in different companies, not a lot of it is planned, and I'm not saying everything should be planned, but part of how you start life out when you leave school, in my case with an EECS degree from MIT, in my co-founder's case with a master's in computer science from Carnegie Mellon, and then from the Stanford Graduate School of Business, the choices available to you at the point you graduate seem to determine a lot of how you're going to start life. In my case, it was McKinsey, great firm, great institution, does problem solving for different types of things than computer scientists do, but it was one of the best options available to me. There were many other options available to me, but then there were options I didn't even know were available to me, like Cisco, which I ended up joining later. So I wish I could tell you this was all planned, and I always knew in 1992 that I was going to be doing what I'm doing now, but obviously it wasn't the case, and with most people you meet, life is a series of great or not so great coffee shop conversations that end up resulting in something you end up doing or not doing. And so if you think about what Collegefeed is doing, we're trying to make the happenstance part of people's lives a little more structured up front. So can we not necessarily reduce happenstance, there's a lot of benefit to happenstance, but can we provide a greater set of options than Sanjeev knew when he was getting out of MIT were available to him. So back then, if someone had done the job of sending my profile out to 15 other companies that I didn't know about, maybe the choices that I had would have been larger. I hope that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm really curious about your time at Google, since it's known for its innovation.
Yeah.
What was your role there, and how did it impact your entrepreneurial career afterwards?
Yeah. So I ran the product marketing team, which we grew from a very small team to a fairly significant team by the time I left. So part of watching and being in the in a very fast-growing business, you learn how much time to spend on planning and how much time you spend on doing. You learn how to hire great people, and so that comes in really handy for what we do now in terms of how companies look for college talent, how companies evaluate profiles. And part of being at Google really got me going on the startup bug, that this is a lot of fun, doing something small and trying to make it big. Obviously, very few companies, there's only one Google, and one Facebook, and one such other big companies. But being on the inside certainly inspires you to fulfill your passion, to really discover what it is that you want to do. So when I was at Google, we had marketing teams, and it's still the case, I'm sure, working on marketing various products. You know, one of the launches we did was Gmail when I was back there. Google SMS search was another one we did. The toolbar was starting out and taking off in a big way. And certainly a lot of learning from how do you ramp up, how do you scale, how do you accelerate, how do you make sure the culture of a small company is maintained even as you grow. How technology can be used to scale and solve so many problems that you don't necessarily solve as efficiently if you just had to hire more and more people to do it. So many learnings, tremendously innovative company, amazing how they've scaled and still continue to be innovative. So it's really been a huge part of my life as an entrepreneur after that, thinking back to those days.
So for aspiring entrepreneurs, whether they're already in the workforce but want to start their own company, or just recent graduates from college, what advice do you have?
One thing that I always encourage people to think about is never say I want to do a startup. Always think about I want to solve a problem. Like, I want to do a startup is sort of like for me saying I want to be a basketball player, which is hard for someone my height, my age, and my weight. But this aspiration for solving a problem will lead you to think about doing things right, because maybe that problem is being solved by someone you want to go join. Entrepreneurship in itself is a very interesting and awesome place to be in terms of the experience you get and what you get to do. But the first question you have to just find out about yourself is, do you want to really be an entrepreneur? Or are you doing it because it's cool? And are you starting a company because you want to start a company and it's cool, and not because you're finding that you can make a better piece of Scotch tape, and that's why you want to change the world of Scotch tape buyers? So what is it that you're passionate about? And is starting a company something that is going to help you get a date? I keep saying this to college students especially, that when you're in a bar, you feel prouder of yourself because you're introducing yourself as an entrepreneur? Or do you feel prouder of yourself saying, I am solving this problem? And they're two very different things, or can be. That's one. And then of course, there's all kinds of things about how to get started and how to execute and how to go try your idea out to see its feasibility, not to spend a lot of time overthinking it up front, but going out and just trying a few things to see if there's demand for it. Whose problem are you solving? So what problem are you solving? Whose problem are you solving? Why is your solution better? Do the people whose problem you think you're solving care? And at some point, will someone along the line pay for you to solve this problem that you're excited about? So it's motherhood and apple pie, but it's hard to necessarily relate to this until you do it. But those would be some of the top things I would consider.
So for yourself, after you realized that you wanted to become an entrepreneur, what were some specific steps that you've taken or things that you've tried to help you along? Yeah,
at the beginning, the first time is always the hardest because you don't know what you don't know about the process. And so everybody thinks that raising funding is really important and really hard. They're both true, but raising funding at the wrong time can be the worst thing for you. So if a rich uncle gives you $1 million to be an entrepreneur, don't take it. He might be the best person to take it from when you figured out what the heck you're doing. But realizing, so for me it was a matter of learning from people, talking to a lot of people. I was fortunate, I still am, that I live where there are a ton of entrepreneurs around, people I respect. And the first thing I would do is just talk to a lot of people. this whole idea that my idea is so unique that if I talk to people it's going to be stolen or someone else is going to do it is just rubbish, because everybody has great ideas. You know, if I could have built companies on every idea I had, I'd be a trillionaire by now, or at least have solved many, many problems. So don't worry about your idea being stolen. Just sit down and talk to people, not necessarily study companies or other products in that space, but go find out what the world's doing. If you think you can build better Scotch tape, why is there no better Scotch tape? It's not because, you know, you're the first person that's thought of it, but figure out what's wrong with the Scotch tape out there and what you can do that's better, right? And then see all the attempts that have been made to do that, because chances are other people have tried to solve that problem too. So the more fact-based you can get based on talking to people in that industry, in that domain, I'd say that's one. The second is get deep into the domain. You know, forget Excel spreadsheets and projecting stuff 5 years out. Figure out what problem you're solving. Talk to people in that domain. Talk to people around that domain. Talk, if yours is a heavily engineering-centric idea that will take innovation or building a product, go figure out how you're going to do that. Talk to some engineers and see if they're excited about it in that domain. If you're an engineer yourself, go build a prototype and see throw it out there and see what people, how people react to it. Figure out how you're going to get your first 10 users, right? And then delight them. Make sure that the first 10 users, forget about getting 1 million users, is anybody happy with what you do? And does anybody want that Scotch tape or your website or your mobile app or whatever it is you're doing? So those would be some of the first few steps that I remember taking. And you know, I made lots of mistakes, failed in a bunch of things. And I'll repeat what I keep saying. Also, my favorite 4-letter word is grit. You know, just the ability to get knocked down over and over again, and basically still believe in the problem you're solving. The exact solution could be different, but listening to your users, truly understanding what they mean when they say what they say, and then having the flexibility to turn around and say, okay, now let me try something different. This thing didn't work, but that's okay. I learned that quickly without wasting a lot of time and money. Now let me try something else.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Sanjeev.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.